Hi guys, it's Abigail. So I'm bringing you another property video. Before you buy that property, do these things first. I'm going to take you through a number of points which are not the most common that you find around, but I have some experience in this and I would love to share those with you. I did a property video before and lots of people were asking about so many questions, what to do before they buy their first property, what to look out for, and it seems as if there's so much out there that people do not know. So let's dive into the video. First thing I'm going to say is, when you have viewed a property, you love it, you're going to put an offer in, you want to tell the agent that you want to buy it. Now that you view the property, you know the property address. Go on Google, just Google EPC rating. And the first option that comes up is usually the gov.uk website, and get on that website. Now, when you enter, you would be asked to put in the postcode and the address. So fill the form throughout till the end, until the report of the property you're looking at comes up. So let's say you put in the postcode, you click through, you get to the address, you put in the address, and then the report comes up and says, oh, the EPC rating of that property, it's a B, an A, a C, a D. What you need to look out for here is the rating needs to be within A to E. A is the best and E is the worst. So officially, the government allows people to rent properties that are E or above, but you would prefer for yours to be closer to A than to E. So I'm going to go through the EPC rating website. I've selected a property and I'll just go through a little bit of the information on there that you need to be aware of and think through before you put in an offer for that property. So if you look at this particular one, I just chose a random property. This is, you don't need to know which property this is. It says this report is valid until 13th April 2034. And the total floor area for this property is 58 square meters. So you need to compare this to what the estate agent has put on Rightmove or Zoopla as a total floor area for this particular property. Sometimes you notice that the floor area is different, and it might be that the agent has added a garage or the balcony, and this has not added the garage or the balcony. So you just need to be aware to make sure that you're not being cheated, because sometimes you don't have the chance to go and like take a whole measuring tape and then go through the floor to check to see whether the right floor space has been put on the advert. Now, as you're scrolling down, it will tell you the breakdown of the property's energy performance. You need to be aware of this because it could cost you later down the line. Because as time goes on, the government brings out new directives on the most suitable energy rating that a property should have. So in this case, let's say you are buying a property, and even though currently you can buy and live and rent a property with energy rating E. If yours is E and the government says, okay, I want to improve the environment, so therefore now the cutoff point should be D or C, you need to be aware of how much it's going to cost you to improve that property. Otherwise, the government will come after you later on. So in this case, it shows that the wall, the cavity wall, filled cavity is average. So the ones that are poor in here are the roof. Pitched roof, 50 mm loft insulation is poor. And window is fully double glazed, which is good. Main heating, boiler and radiators, main gas, which is good. What is very good is lighting. So low energy lighting in all fixed outlets is very good. So in this case, now you have a fair idea of what is poor in the property, what is good, and what you need to do to get it to be better. Now, if you scroll down a bit more, this is a part where you want to understand, because they now give you how to improve on your energy rating. So now it shows you steps you could take to save energy. So step 1, increase loft insulation to 270 millimeters. And this is the associated cost with it. So it tells you it will likely cost you between £100 to £350. And this is how much it will save you a year on your energy bills. Most of these things people don't talk about, but something that you need to be aware of. Because let's say you've lived in a house for a while and you're looking to move out and rent it out later on. Let's say you've there's been a new law that needs every house inspected to make sure that they are in line with the government's directives. In this case, now you need to spend money to fix these things. And if you're not aware of it and it comes to you as a surprise, now you don't know what you're going to do. So I'm not saying that if there are issues in the house, don't buy it, but know how much it's going to cost to fix it if you need to fix it, so that when it comes, it's not a surprise to you. Now, the next thing you want to think about before you put in an offer for a house is that how much of the permitted development rights of this particular house or flat or whatever has been used. Every house has permitted development rights. Most detached houses have permitted development rights for you to extend backwards and sometimes sideways, and for you to have a loft conversion. Now, depending on the kind of house it is, it might be that some of these permitted development rights have already been used by a previous owner, and you need to be aware of it, because a house is valued using its floor space. So if the floor space has been increased in some way or some form, it has taken the valuation of the house in one way or another. So in this case, if you can increase the floor space because it has not already been used, then you can add more value to the house. So if you wanted to do a back extension and it has already, the permitted development rights have already been used, that means that you need to go and get planning permission to do an extended back extension, which they might not grant you planning permission for. So you just need to be aware of how much of this has been used and how much is available to you for you to use. Because now that you know how much is available, you're like, hey, later down the line, if I fancy an extension, if, hey, I want to do a backyard house, like a small studio for your, maybe your child is 18 years and you want to give him some privacy or independence, and you're like, hey, I'll just convert the backyard garden to a little studio for you. You understand what is allowed and what is not allowed, what has been used and what is not used, and how much more value you can add to your house. Now, the third thing I'm going to mention is to go on the planning portal website, put the postcode of the area or the house that you're looking to buy, and just search in the area what has been done. Now, I'm not saying that go and get planning permission to do anything, but you want to be aware of what other people in the area have gotten planning permission for, so that you can, one, get ideas on what you can do. Two, know that if you are deciding to get planning permission for any of these things, what is the probability of you getting it approved? Now, most of the time, when people have gotten planning permission before for a particular extension, change of use or whatever, if it's been done several times in the area, that means that if you are going to try and get that permission, you are most likely going to get approval. Now, things change, rules change, focus change for the planning committee and all that. So I'm not saying that the fact that this person got an extension to do a backyard house means that you are going to, this person got permission to do a backyard house means that you are going to get permission. But you want to have a fair idea of what is being approved in the area, so that if you fancy any of those later down the line, if you have the money to do it, you have a fair idea of what you could get approval for. So if almost all the houses on the street that you're looking at have gotten an extension on the side and they all got planning permission for that, most likely you are going to get planning permission to do an extension on the side of the current house that you're looking at. So it's just something to be aware of and something to see, because sometimes when you go on the planning portal, you can see the reasons that the planning committee gave for refusing, or even if they gave the approval, they'll give you with a clause. So maybe you can do this extension with bearing in mind that this and this and this don't change. So you have a very good idea of what you can do with the house that you're buying. The next thing I'm going to talk about is whether the house is north facing, east facing, west facing, or south facing. Now, this is one other thing that most people don't talk about. And if you think of it, if you want to buy a house, you don't know what the future looks like. And what you need to be thinking about is, what is the potential of a house to sell easily when I'm ready to leave? Maybe you're buying it now and you think it's going to be your forever home, but something happens, your family becomes smaller, your family becomes larger, and you think you need more space. So now you're thinking of, I need to sell this one and move on. So what you're thinking of is, if somebody wants to buy it, what is the most desirable? And here in the UK, there are so many people who think some things are the most desirable, and whether they want it or not, they think it's desirable, so I'm going to get it. Example is having a backyard garden. Some people don't desire to have a backyard garden, but I would buy a house with a backyard garden because I know that when I want to sell it later down the line, most people prefer to have a backyard garden. So even if I buy mine and I don't cater for it or use it for anything, when I'm selling it, I can say, oh, the house even has a backyard garden, which makes it easy for me to sell. So in this case, south facing, according to research, is the most desirable for people who are trying to find their forever home or trying to buy a home. So, and also the reason why that is that the sun, when the sun comes out, the south facing houses get the most access to light throughout the day. The east, west, north do not get as much sun throughout the day as much as the south facing ones. So if you get the chance, try and buy a south facing house, because it helps you to be able to market it later down the line to be able to sell. So if somebody has 3 options on the same street or on the same neighborhood, and yours is a south-facing one, and the other ones in the neighborhood are not south-facing, the likelihood of you to be able to sell yours quite quickly would be higher than those other people selling theirs, because yours is a little bit more desirable. The next thing I'll say is put in an offer for the house subject to survey, and I would advise that you get a level 3 survey for the house before you go ahead and complete buying the house. What does this mean? Now, when you put in an offer, let's say you're saying, I want to buy this house for 250K, you tell the agent, and you tell the agent subject to survey. Now the agent passes that on to the seller gets his solicitors, you get solicitors, and now they start the whole process of you exchanging money for the house. So within that process, you get a surveyor to go in and survey the house. I cannot overemphasize how much this could save you, because the surveyor will come in, he's a professional, and he gets into the nooks and crannies of everything that's going on in that house. So if there's a structural issue, if there is a problem with the drainage system, if there is a problem with the lighting, he will give you every single detail. And you might probably pay that person £300, £500, but if you go ahead and buy the house without finding out all the issues that are in that house, and later, after buying, you find out the issues, it will probably cost you more than that £500 that you paid to that surveyor to find out before you exchange your money for the house. So please, please, please spend that extra £300, spend that extra £500 to get a survey before you finally exchange your money and get a mortgage on a house, because you could get in the house and realize that you just bought a bag of trouble. And now you're not sure what to do because you're trying to save up on everything, and trying to save up on stuff even gets it to be more expensive. The other thing I want to mention is, if you're buying a new build, or let's say a refurbished house, I would encourage you to get a snagging report. So a snagging report, you get someone in who is like a professional who does the snagging assessment and tells you what is wrong here and there. So maybe they didn't join the shelves of the kitchen properly to the wall, or maybe there could be some part that maybe has a leak. And in all that, you're going to understand what needs to be done. And majority of the time, if this is a new build or a refurbished house where it's the developer that's selling to you, you can say, hey, I've got a report, and this and this and this and this is wrong. Can you go and fix it? And majority of the time, they'll fix it before you get in. So you get in with a new house and things are ready to go. You don't get in and you're using the shower and the shower head falls off because the person who did it did not fix it well. The last thing I'm going to mention is that, is the streets in that neighborhood desirable? Now, most people are focused on, I want to live in this area. And it's okay if you want to live in a particular area. But if you are based in the UK, you've probably noticed that you'll be on a street, and then when you turn a corner, it looks very different from the street you were on, because maybe that is the part that's facing the main road. So you just want to understand whether that particular side of the neighborhood, that particular street or stretch is desirable. Because if it's a stretch or street that everybody's trying to avoid because that's where, you know, there are so many knife crimes or so many issues, or like people are usually like hanging around in the evening and causing people problems, then when you finish buying and then you move in, you realize that, wait, you live in the area that you desired, but that particular street is a problem. How can you go about finding this information out? One, you can ask the agent. Majority of the time, because the agent is trying to sell you the house, they will not tell you. So you can get someone to call in. Get someone to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm looking to move to London, I'm looking to move to Derby, I'm looking to move to this, and I'm thinking of this area. Which of the streets are the most desirable? Do you have any houses to sell or to rent there? If there's an agent in the area who's trying to sell a house or something of the sort, or even just mention the street, call the same agency that's selling the house, but speak to somebody else. So don't let them know it's you. And then they'll tell you, oh, this street actually is a bit dodgy. We have another one over here which has like a better view, or people think this place is better. You want to get an opinion. You want to drive into that street in the night. Don't just go for a viewing during the daytime. Drive in the night. You know, stop for a few minutes, see a neighbor passing by and say, hey, I'm trying to move into this area. You don't need to tell them whether you're buying or renting. Just say, hey, I'm trying to move into this area. Do you think this street is a good street? Please, people talk. They will tell you. They're like, oh my God, avoid, avoid, avoid. Yeah, that house is being sold. Don't buy that house. We saw, you know, this happening there and that happening there. We saw one day there was like a flood or something. So you need to go there, speak to random people who know the area or who are walking past. And if they know that, hey, you're trying to move in, they have ideas about what's going on there, they're going to tell you. And that could help you save you so much money putting down a deposit for a house that you probably don't even want to live there later down the line. So these are all the tips I wanted to give you guys before you finally exchange and your money, your hard-earned money to buy a house that you feel like you want to live in for a long time, and then you realize, this doesn't work for me because of this issue and that issue and that issue. So yes, these are all the points I have for you for today. If you're trying to buy your first house, all the best to anyone who's trying to buy their first house. If you clicked on this video, if you're thinking about it, I hope everything goes on well. Now, I'd like to invite you to this family. Subscribe to my channel. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Have you come across any of these points before? Let us get talking in the comments. Like and share with a friend. And also, if you've already subscribed to my channel, welcome. Let's go on this ride together. There's so much more coming your way. Thank you.